Nobody expected this. Not legal experts, not political insiders, and not even the people deep inside Donald Trump's inner circle who believed they already knew exactly how this situation would end. One sealed envelope and one audio recording lasting 11 minutes and 43 seconds changed everything the moment Pam Bondi, the woman Trump personally trusted with some of the most sensitive legal matters connected to his world, handed it directly to a federal court. The second that tape officially entered the record, the entire situation shifted instantly. Not slowly over weeks of courtroom battles, but in one afternoon, inside one courtroom, through one move that nobody on Trump's side appeared ready for. Before anything else, it is important to understand who Pam Bondi was in this story. She was not simply a political supporter or a former attorney general who defended Trump during public controversies. She was someone trusted with access, private files, and conversations that were never supposed to leave a very limited circle. She was exactly the kind of person brought close because everyone believed she would never reveal anything under any circumstances. That assumption has now collapsed in the most public and serious way imaginable. Trump reportedly did not stay calm after learning what happened. He did not rely only on lawyers to issue a controlled statement. According to people close to the situation, he is demanding criminal consequences against Bondi, not just lawsuits or civil complaints, but an actual criminal referral for what he believes was a deliberate betrayal that crossed legal and ethical boundaries, which should have kept the recording far away from any courtroom. Sources inside Mar-a-Lago say the anger after this became public was unlike anything they had seen before, even after years of watching Trump deal with non-stop political and legal chaos. The biggest question now is obvious. What exactly is on the tape? That is what legal analysts, political observers, and journalists following this case are all trying to understand. Multiple reports confirm the recording involves Melania Trump. The audio reportedly contains 11 minutes and 43 seconds of clearly identifiable conversation from the former First Lady discussing subjects that Trump's legal team had carefully tried to keep sealed, private, and completely outside the official evidence of any court proceeding. The recording did not suddenly appear out of nowhere. People close to Trump's legal and political network already knew the tape existed. The real question was never whether it existed, but who controlled it, who possessed it, and whether it would ever become part of any official legal proceeding. Bondi's decision to release it, which sources say was done carefully through legal channels and with guidance from attorneys, goes far beyond a normal leak. This was a formal submission of evidence into an active federal case. That difference matters because leaks can be dismissed as political attacks or unreliable noise. A formal court submission becomes part of the permanent record. It must go through authentication procedures, and it carries weight because it is being presented by an officer of the court. Pam Bondi, regardless of politics, is a former attorney general who fully understands what it means to walk evidence into a federal courthouse and place it before a judge. She knew exactly what the consequences would be, and she still moved forward. According to legal observers briefed on the general nature of the tape, though not the full contents since it remains sealed, the recording reportedly captures Melania discussing internal legal strategies connected to one of the most sensitive areas of the Trump organization's financial exposure. More specifically, the discussion allegedly focuses on what she knew, when she knew it, and the way she was instructed to frame her understanding if she was ever forced to testify under oath regarding certain financial decisions made during critical periods now under investigation. This was reportedly not casual conversation. The discussion was substantive and directly connected to questions prosecutors have been attempting to answer for years. What makes this especially serious is Melania Trump's role throughout all of Trump's legal battles. She has largely remained distant from the courtroom drama. She has not testified, has not faced major subpoenas, and although her name has occasionally appeared in legal filings, she has never been placed at the center of any case. Part of that protection depended on the argument that she had little meaningful knowledge of the financial decisions under scrutiny. The public image presented was that she existed around the household, not inside the business operations, meaning her testimony supposedly carried little evidentiary value. That argument may now become much harder to defend. If the tape contains what sources suggest, including detailed and candid discussion about her understanding of the Trump Organization's financial situation during the exact periods prosecutors care about most, then the protective wall built around her role may begin to crack in ways that are difficult to repair. The implication would be that she was not simply nearby while events happened, but that she actually understood what was taking place. In those 11 minutes and 43 seconds, she reportedly explained the extent of that understanding during a private conversation she never expected a federal judge would hear. The legal process surrounding the tape is extremely important and missing from much of the public discussion. The recording is now in the court's possession, and what happens next depends on several procedural steps that Trump's legal team is expected to challenge aggressively. They will likely question the authenticity of the recording, argue legal privilege, and file emergency motions claiming the tape was obtained or shared in violation of protections that should have prevented it from ever entering a courtroom. These arguments are not meaningless, and some legal experts believe they could carry legitimate weight. However, there is one major problem for Trump's team. Pam Bondi is not an outsider or a random former employee leaking material to the press. She is a former United States Attorney General with deep understanding of evidentiary rules, experienced legal advisors, and what appears to be a carefully prepared legal argument supporting why the tape could be introduced properly. She clearly anticipated these challenges before submitting the recording. That preparation suggests she believes she has a strong legal foundation for her actions. That confidence may be more concerning for Trump's legal team than the existence of the tape itself, because if Bondi's legal strategy succeeds and the recording becomes officially authenticated evidence considered by the court, then this situation stops being political drama and becomes part of a federal legal proceeding. Federal courts do not care about political loyalty or public narratives. They care about evidence, facts, and what can actually be proven. Trump's push for criminal consequences against Bondi also reveals something important. When the first instinct becomes attacking the person who released evidence instead of immediately denying the evidence itself, it can suggest concern that the material is real and difficult to dispute directly. Publicly, the argument against Bondi centers around betrayal of legal privilege, and some respected legal scholars believe there may be substance behind that claim. If Bondi obtained the recording within a legally protected relationship, disclosure could potentially create legal exposure for her. But privilege is not unlimited. Courts recognize exceptions, including the crime fraud exception, which allows privileged material to be introduced if it relates to conduct connected to criminal activity or fraud. Sources familiar with Bondi's legal strategy reportedly believe that is exactly the argument her team intends to make. If that happens, challenging the tape could become risky for Trump's side, because fighting over the crime fraud exception in open court would force a judge to examine whether the protected conversations themselves were connected to potentially fraudulent conduct. That is not a legal door Trump's team wants opened wider than necessary. Melania Trump now finds herself in a position unlike anything previously seen during this family's legal battles. Throughout criminal trials, civil fraud cases, appeals, and years of political warfare, she remained largely untouched by the direct fallout. Now her voice reportedly sits inside a federal courthouse on an audio recording that a former attorney general she once trusted believed was important enough to formally hand to a judge, despite fully understanding the chaos it would create. There is also a deeper development happening beneath the headlines that many longtime observers of this case can already sense. The circle around Trump is becoming smaller. People once trusted with access to sensitive information and placed near major decisions now facing legal scrutiny are beginning to make their own choices about what they know, what they possess, and what they may eventually reveal. Bondi's decision does not exist in isolation. It comes at a time when several individuals once close to the center of Trump's operation appear to be quietly reassessing their positions. That shift may matter more than any dramatic headline, because when one insider takes action, others paying attention may begin considering their own options. Everyone who attended meetings, signed documents, exchanged emails, or witnessed conversations now being reconstructed by federal investigators understands the stakes differently after this moment. Bondi's submission of the tape was not only a legal action, it was also a signal, and signals tend to reach exactly the people they are intended for. Right now, the tape is inside the courthouse. Melania's voice is reportedly part of the record. Trump is demanding punishment for the person responsible for placing it there, and the court is deciding what comes next. This story is not slowing down. It is speeding up rapidly. Once people understand what may actually be contained within those 11 minutes and 43 seconds of audio, they will understand why the next phase of this case is unlikely to be quiet, controlled, or simple. The recording exists, the court now has possession of it, and every major figure connected to this case is trying to determine what that reality means for them going forward. The developments that emerge from that courthouse over the next several weeks could reshape this story in ways that even the people involved may not fully expect yet.